Hi, my name is Zico and I'm a technical specialist at AlphaTemp Technology, and welcome to our series of application-based videos. In this video, we'll be going through the EnviroMon Thermistor temperature starter kit to monitor the temperature of a fridge and freezer. The kit includes everything you need to get started. All you need is a PC to start recording. Included in the kit is the EL005 Data Logger, which is the interface between your PC and your measurement input. It comes supplied with a power supply, a USB to serial adapter, and the actual data logger has an internal backup battery in there in case of mains failure to give you a few hours worth of recording. The measurement interface is the EL001 Converter. This connects to your data logger using the supplied 5-meter converter cable, and it has 3 inputs, and it can take inputs from temperature sensors. So in the kit you have 3 EL015 temperature sensors. This is a thermistor and it has a temperature range of -30 to 70 degrees Celsius and an accuracy of ±0.3 degrees Celsius. Due to its construction, it's waterproof, so it's ideal for measuring the temperature outside when it's exposed to the elements, and also can be immersed in water. So the kind of applications that you can use this system in are like in fridges, freezers, you can use them in incubators, measuring the temperature outside, measuring the temperature of water, also in warehouses, or just generally ambient temperature indoors. So to start recording, all you need to do is connect the data logger to your PC and configure it. And once you've connected it and configured it, it will start recording immediately. You can then disconnect it from the PC and to leave it logging. And once you've actually taken your data, you can connect the PC back to the logger and it will download the data. So let's get started. Now, as you can see, I've placed the EL001 converter above the fridge, and now I'm going to place the temperature sensors inside the fridge. So as you can see, the temperature of the fridge is set at 3 degrees Celsius and the freezer is set to -19 Celsius. So if we open the fridge door, we'll see that we've placed 2 temperature sensors in the fridge, one at the top and one at the bottom where the vegetable drawer is. And if we open the freezer door at the bottom there, you'll see that we have the 3rd temperature sensor also placed in there. Now normally what you'd have is an entry hole for a professional fridge or freezer. Not all of them have them, so you might want to drill a hole at the back, but as you can see with this cable, it's quite flat, so you don't necessarily need to do this, because when you shut the door on your fridge or freezer, it seals quite nicely around it and you won't lose any temperature really. So you can now connect the logger to the PC and start recording. So we can now connect the data loggers to the PC using the supplied USB to serial adapter. And we can now run the software. So if we go to Settings, Configuration, Change, and then Quick, we can click on Next. And now we need to choose what COM port we're connected to. So we need to search Device Manager to find out what COM port we're connected to. So to get to Device Manager, you need to scroll to the bottom of the actual taskbar and go to the Windows key. And then type in Device Manager. And then click on it when it appears. You can now see Device Manager. You can now go to Ports, COM and LPT. And then on the arrow on the left hand side of it, click on that to expand it. You can now see it's COM port 4. So choose serial of port to be COM 4. And then we can click on Next. And the logger will search through its network to see what's connected to it. And as you can see, it says the EL001 triple temperature converter with address 5. And now we can click on Next to configure the channels. So we now need to enable each of the channels by going to the Enable column and selecting the channel from No to Yes by double clicking on it. We'll do that for channel 1, channel 2 and channel 3. And the next thing we need to do is to ensure that we have the correct temperature sensor selected by going to the Sensor column and clicking on the channel and making sure that we have the EL015 temperature sensor selected for channel 1 and channel 2. And you'll notice on the third channel it shows an EL029 door switch. This is an option for a read relay which gives an open and closed state which you can log. I might do a video about this at some point in the future. You'll also notice there are a number of legacy options available, and this is why we need to ensure that we have the correct sensor used. Some of them are older temperature sensors. So we need to ensure that we're using the EL015 temperature sensor since we're using channel 3 for the freezer. So we now can actually give them channel names. So channel 1 will go to the channel column and we'll call that top fridge. And then for channel 2 we'll call that bottom fridge. And for channel 3 we'll call that freezer. We can now click on the Program button, and what will happen is it will write the configuration information that we've just created into the data logger, and this will make the data logger immediately start recording data. So once this is completed, we can click on the Finish button, and once we click on that, it will ask us to exit the program for changes to take effect, and then launch the software again. You'll see that we have some readings, and what I'll do is I'll expand the channel view so we can actually see the full channel name, and we'll leave the data logger running for a couple of days and come back to download the data and see what results we'll get. We can now disconnect the data logger from the PC or laptop, and we'll come back in a few days to connect the logger to download the data. Alternatively, if you have a permanent fixture, you can leave the data logger connected to your PC, and as long as the software is running and the PC is running, it will download the data to the PC. So it's been a couple of days now, so we can now connect the data logger to the PC to download the data. We can now run the EnviroMon software. And as you can see, it's downloading the data from the last couple of days. And we'll expand the channel name. So to look at the spreadsheet view, we need to select View and then Spreadsheet. We can now move the window and resize it. And as you can see, there's only one channel that's appearing. So to view all three channels, we need to click on the Select Channels button at the top, which is the multicolored button. And now what we need to do is enable all channels by clicking on the tick box next to them and then clicking on OK. You can now view all three traces, and we can scroll through the data by going through the scroll bar on the side. Or if you have lots of data, you can use the arrows at the top. Now at the moment it's set to 1 week, so you can see it says 26th of February. And if we go back, it goes to 19th of February. So if we wanted to view it by day, we need to click on the View Options button, which is the tick box at the top. And we need to change the scroll range from week to day, and then click on OK. And when we click on the arrows, it will scroll by day. To access the graph view, we need to select View and then Graph. We can move the window and resize it. And to view all three traces, we need to click on the Select Channels button, which is the multicolored button on the side. And we need to enable the channels by clicking on the tick box next to them. And then click on OK. You can now see all three traces. And to scroll through the data, we can click on the arrows. We can zoom out or zoom in. We can also separate the channels to view them individually. So if we go back to the Select Channels button, and if we wanted to look at just the freezer, we'll untick the fridges and then click on OK. And we can see a clear view of the freezer. And you can see the minimum temperature was around -21 and the maximum temperature was around -10.7. This could be a number of things, opening the freezer door or the fact that the freezer will go through a defrost cycle every now and then. Now let's look at the fridge. So we go to the Select Channels button, deselect the freezer, select both the bottom fridge and the top fridge, and then click on OK. You can see that the actual bottom of the fridge is more constant and lower than the actual top of the fridge. So let's deselect the bottom fridge and then click on OK and look at just the top fridge. So the top fridge seems to have gone from about 4.5 degrees to around 13 degrees. That obviously could be opening the door for the fridge, or it could be that the fridge is going through a cycle. But either way, the fridge isn't really getting to 3 degrees Celsius. It seems to be going from 4 to around 12 or 11.5 if we looked at a more constant cycle there. Now, one thing that's useful to note at this point is there is a door switch sensor that can work with the EL001. Now, that way you can actually know whether it was someone's opened the door or not, or it's just a fridge going through its cycle really. And in that case, it'll give you an indication of when the door was open and when it was closed. And then you can tie in the actual temperatures to the actual opening and closing of the doors really. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to change the position of the temperature sensor at the top of the fridge because it's at the front. So I'm going to move it to the back of the fridge and see if that makes any difference. So I've repositioned the temperature sensor and put it to the back of the fridge, and let's see if that makes any difference really. So I've left the data logger running overnight with a new position of the temperature sensor. So let's see if it's made a difference. Go to Graph View, View, Graph. So it doesn't seem to have made any difference moving the temperature sensor from the front of the fridge to the back of the fridge. But I'm going to try one more thing. I'm going to actually move the temperature sensor away from the walls of the fridge because that could have an impact on the readings. So as you can see, I've moved the temperature sensor to a more central position, away from the sides of the walls of the fridge, and let's see if that affects the readings. So it's been a few hours since I've repositioned the temperature sensor to the center of the fridge. Now let's start the EnviroMon software and have a look at the readings. So if we go to View and then Graph, and if we expand the view, actually let's zoom out a little and expand the view. You'll see that when we reposition the temperature sensor, it's actually significantly dropped. Whereas before it was going from around 4 to around 11 approximately. Now it's kind of going, let's just zoom out a little bit. It's going from around, say, about 0.5 degree to around 7 degrees really. So it's significantly shifted just by repositioning the temperature sensor. So obviously when we had the temperature sensor at the back of the wall or the side of the wall, it was actually giving us skewed readings really. So just repositioning the temperature sensor has significantly changed the readings really. So I hope you found this video interesting on the EnviroMon Temperature Starter Kit. So thank you for watching, and for more information please visit our website on www.alphatemtech.co.uk.